Hey there, guys. Welcome to another episode of Kick-Ass Coaching, 10-minute Kick-Ass Coaching today. We've got a couple of nice subjects to go through. So I wanted to get right into it. A couple things that actually applied to something we talked about yesterday on this on the first episode. It's been brought up all over the news. I'm in the metro New York area, New Jersey. Lived in New York for a number of years and know it very well. A lot of amazing people. I still work up there quite a bit and work with quite a few people in New York, so my heart is there. Even though I'm from Pennsylvania, my heart is definitely in New York. Loved it, loved my time there. Eli Manning from the New York Giants, we'll talk about him today. Eli Manning, just like his brother, I have tremendous respect for. Unbelievable player, one of the greats, will go down as one of the greats, just like his brother did. And a superstar human being, just like his brother. Just a really nice, down-to-earth, honest guy. So, I can't say enough good about him. I love the guy. I really do. And I respect the New York Giants and the leadership that they've had there in the past, and, some of the leadership now I'm not as crazy about, but they are in that position for a reason. And that's what we're going to get into today. Eli Manning was pulled back from the starting position yesterday, and obviously he was not crazy about it. He handled it like a pro. He handled it the best way he could. But, it was definitely something that was devastating to him. That being said, a decision had to be made. Eli Manning on the New York Giants is seen as a leader, probably even more of a leader than their current coach, just because he's been there as long. He's accomplished so much there being in New York. So it's really been a diehard New York type of love affair with Manning, and well deserved. Taking him to the Super Bowl and under the Tom Coughlin reign, just an amazing thing. Eli Manning was benched, for lack of better words, or put on the side, and it's upsetting to a lot of people. And probably the way that it was done, I could have gone without, but I could definitely understand why they went and did it. Eli, being in a leadership position, is the person to go to position next to the coach. And on the field, he's seen more powerful than the coach every day of the week. It's just that way, especially with his presence there. So Eli Manning getting benched, essentially, for someone else. And the reason I feel it was that he was benched is, if you and I in business are leading an organization, managing a group of people, whatever the case it is, and things kind of fall through and the record isn't there, the profit isn't there in a business, the retention isn't there in a business, whatever that is, you're going to be, the person you work for is certainly going to look into that. And they're not going to allow that to happen in their business. There's just no way, no successful business owner is going to allow things to drop without reason. So we know that it's been a tough couple of years for the Giants, understandably why. And Eli Manning for the last couple of years has been a little, up and down with it. So I think there was a decision that had to be made. There was no chance of the Giants getting to playoffs this year. So their year is essentially finished, except for playing the last 5 games, I believe, of the year. So that's pretty much where they're going to be able to finish at. But having Manning in that leadership position as a leader, as a manager, essentially, of the organization, and having a rough record going into this, being looked at by everybody, even though he's loved, being looked at to lead the team, and not being able to come through. It's just not his time for whatever reason. Again, I have my struggles with the Pittsburgh Steelers, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, and Ben Roethlisberger has had the same thing, and you could see it on Ben's face when he's not having a good game or something's not working. He's been very open about that in public. So I think when they had to make the change, it was in 2 points. The leader was not able to command that leadership like he was in the past and maintain the growth for the organization, just like an effective manager. If a manager's not effectively helping the business grow, or at least sustainably balance itself out without many gains, then that manager either needs to be retrained or possibly replaced at that point. Same thing with anybody that's leading any organization, whether you're the owner or not. So that would be my point on that. As we're looking at Eli Manning's leadership capabilities, what he's done in the past, his drive, his ability to command that team is not quite where it needs to be, and there has to be some changes. And I personally think the coach should be changed out too, personally. But right now, again, we're going to go back to on the field, in the trenches. He's looked at as the lead guy, and he's unfortunately having a very tough time with it. And if you allow that to continue to go on in your organization, you won't have an organization. You'll have a hobby. So, know that was more than likely done because they had to make a statement that we are trying to make a change. We can't possibly get in the playoffs. We have a horrific record this year, and the only way we could possibly sustain this now is taking out this superstar that has had a tough time being the top producer, and change it out with Geno Smith, which is likewise a very good quarterback. I won't put him in Manning's category, but if they're going to go down, they don't want to go down with a top level guy there that's having a tough time with commanding the leadership under his command. So I do understand why they did it. It's heartbreaking because, again, likable guy, has done a tremendous amount for the city of New York, tremendous amount for Giants. If you're a Giants fan, I totally respect that. And I respect Eli Manning. So no hate on, football teams. I have nothing but love for him. I just think I understand to a certain extent. I want to use it as an example for leadership and management of when a change may need to happen and why that possibly was made a change. That's just my opinion from that standpoint. Another question I got was, we're getting into the holiday season and bonuses. And I had a question, what should I pay my guys? Let me read this right. What should I pay my guys for the bonus, and how should I balance that out? Well, I think senior, having some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Seniority is helpful, but if you read my book, you've had a copy of the book, you know that people don't pay for effort, they pay for results. So even though you have seniority there, if you're performing great day 1 and day 50, awesome. That horse has run it straight line and produced at 100% or 110%. But if you started there, you started really good, and now the person's down to, say, 20% of what the capability that that technician, manager, whatever, owner. If you're an owner, you could do whatever you want. But if you're the manager or the technician, you know when that person is not putting their all in, and that affects it. So my thought process was, yes, it is important to have your guys that have been with you the longest appreciated and taken care of. But if they're not performing, if they're not selling to that level, if they're not like a NASCAR driver or a race car driver or a horse driver, the horse is not all in. I got this parody from Dan Kennedy. If the horse is not in all the way, they know. And if the horse has not been all the way, and they're purposely not putting the work in at that time or at any point to get there, then you can understand the frustration. And if you were going to do bonuses, I'm a big believer in, for lack of better words, what you show now. What have you shown for me lately, as Dan would say? What's being produced now? Is that person saying, I've been here for 10 years and I deserve this is my right, my entitlement, I stuck by this company for 10 years? Commendable. Very, very commendable. I can't knock it, can't say anything negative about it. However, when you're doing bonuses, it's about what is becoming, who is producing for your company, who is producing the income, producing the revenue, producing the growth, producing the profit in the business. Where's that coming from? And that's what you have to look at when it comes to bonuses. From my experience, from what I've done, it's not that the general manager is going to get the highest bonus if you're going to do bonuses at all. I know times can be a little tough, but I always think that's a great way to keep your guys motivated, is do a little something, even if it's $50, $200, whatever the case. It doesn't have to be anything grandiose, so to speak. But my point would be, look at the record, look at what the person's performance is, look what they've done in the past, and reward accordingly. Reward based on results, not based on effort. Effort is getting up to go to work every single day. Effort is going out in the field and going through the grind and the logistics and in the trenches, so to speak. And that's appreciated. It's not rewarded if that person is going to work every day, but could be bringing in 2 more clients or 5 more leads or could be more profitable because he's building up value on the job sites, therefore compounding and making the jobs a little bit bigger from that standpoint. So I'm sorry my computer keeps clicking off every time somebody sends me a message on something. The computer all goes up to my main computer, and that's how I see the messages. So I'm just responding to people in kind. I felt that's really pretty much the best way from my experience to reward people, is reward off of the fruits of their labor, what they've done. And that's pretty much it for the 10-minute kick-ass coaching session today. Sorry, it's a little bit longer. Yesterday's was a little bit shorter. But I tried to cover the role of a leader on the field or in, I would imagine, in battle. If you're a soldier too as well. You have leadership goes up, goes down, whatever the case was. So having a person in a leading position that's not able to complete the task where the task needs to be completed, a change has to be made, whether the person is benched, the person is let go, whatever the case is. As long as it doesn't matter the circumstances. If that person's not producing, it affects everybody, and it can affect the business eventually. And the same thing about the bonuses. It's based off producing. I'm a big believer, if you're a producer, you could be a pain in my ass. But if you're a producer, I'll reward you every single day. If you're a nightmare, I'll get rid of you. But at the same time, if you're a producer and you put the effort in there, I'll reward you in half. That completes today's episode number 2 of the Kick-Ass coaching session. 10 minutes in excess today. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks. Bye.